It's called Composition Rules and Examples. This is an app that trying to teach the user how to recognize the confusing rules of photographs. And what is photo compositions? Photo composition is how a photographer arranges visual elements within their frames. It is a in organization of objects within your rectangles, says the photographs Adam. Putting all the subjects or screens inside a space may sound easy, but it's anything but. Composition in your shoes can often be difficult and it always important. Everything can seem perfect: lighting, location, wardrobe, styling, and whatever. Says the photographer Grace. But if your composition is off, that's a deal breaker. And I see there are a bunch of composition rules. And let's say what will happen if I click the leading lines. Oh, and it is trying to teach me the rules of leading lines. Let me go back to the home screen and start at the beginning.
Okay, so now we are in the first lesson, which is rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is a way of dividing frames for optimal composition. It involves evenly dividing the frame between two equally spaced horizontal and vertical grid lines, creating a 3 by 3 grid. In order to create balance and flow within an image, compositional elements should be placed where these lines of the grid intersect or segment your image. So there are two buttons in the page, which is explanation and original. Let's click explanation to see the annotation of these two images. So after editing, the sound is placed right in the horizontal grid lines of this image. So now it looks much better than before, and our attention was naturally dragged into the sound. Let's click original to show the original photos, and then we can head to the next topic of rule, which is leading line. Leading lines are visual elements that pull the viewer's eyes towards a subject or focal point. They can be anything, like roads running off into the distance, an arm stretched out towards something else, tree branches rising towards the moon, anything that pulls attention towards something else. These lines can give flat surfaces the appearance of depth, dimension, and shape. Let's click explanation to see the annotation. So in the first image, there is a leading red lines, which pull our attention to the mountain in the distance. And then in the right photo, the road is the leading line, and our attention is pulled to the end of the road. Let's head to the balance. So the rule of balance is related to but distinct from symmetry. A balanced image doesn't necessarily look the same right to left or side to side. Rather, the various quadrants of the image complement each other in aesthetically pleasing ways. Some photographers further explain this as symmetrical balance and asymmetrical balance. Let's click explanation to see the annotation. So the both examples are bilateral balance, bilateral symmetrical, which is symmetrical balance. Let's see the next lesson. So the fourth rule is diagonals. You can use the diagonal lines in the scene to compose frames. The diagonal lines tend to produce strong images than the horizontal and vertical lines. The diagonal, which connects the opposite corners of the frame, may not be used. It will not help create beautiful images. So we can see the explanation of these two examples. So in the first image, the diagonal lines are the wide row, and in the right photo, the diagonal lines are the line which starts from the women's feet to the right upper corner. So let's head to the last rule. So the last rule is frames, which is also called self-framing. This type of compositional technique involves using or adding frame elements to emphasize and lead the viewer's eye towards your subject, or to simply add interest to your image. It can be anything from natural frames like rock formations or human-made ones, and it helps bring focus to your intended subject. It's bound to create a more aesthetically pleasing image. So we can see the annotation of these two examples. In the first image, the frames are the rock, and our attention was pulled into the further rock. And in the right photo, the frames is the flower, and our attention is pulled to the mountain. So we have finished all the learning part, and let's do the quiz part.
So for the first problem, the question says what rules apply on the or to the photo on the left side. Select all that applies, and options are rows of thirds, leading lines, balance, diagonals, and frames. And there are also two buttons named hint and submit buttons. So looking at the graph on the left side, I have no idea in my mind so far. So I'm gonna click the hint button and see if I can grab any hints from that. So it's replacing the original graph with a new one with more annotations. And based on the annotations, it's reminding me of the last concept I just learned, which is frame. So I'm gonna select frame and submit my answer. And I got it right, so let's move to the next question. And by the way, I also see the progress bar on the upper right corner, which tells me how many questions are left so far. And it's for the problem 2, it's the same question and the different but different pictures. And now it's the man in a swimming pool, in a boat in a swimming pool. And I'm gonna check the hints again since I have no idea in my mind so far. And now the picture became 3x3 grid, so it's definitely rules of thirds. And I'm gonna submit the answer again, which is correct. And for this question, I thought two objects, a baby on front and a falcon at the back, so it's similar to balance. I'm gonna select balance and submit my answer again. Well, it's telling me I got it wrong, and the annotation is telling me there's a diagonal line in the current graph, so that makes sense. Let's move to the next question. Now the graph is about a city and a mountain as the background. I think the picture is symmetric, so it might be related to balance. So let's select balance and submit my answer. Oops, I got it wrong again, and it's telling me like there are four arrows in the graph, and they function as the leading lines. It's very helpful. Let's move to the next question. Looking at the graph on the left side, I find it very confusing, so I'm gonna check the hint again. And the picture is evenly split into two parts, so it should be balanced this time. I got it correct. So for the last question, that's a picture I've never seen before, so I'm gonna skip this question and directly click next button.
Oh, I see. Seems like I finished all the quiz questions and my score is 3 out of 6. I think I did pretty well, but apparently I need more practice on those rules of photographs, and especially I need to pay attention to the topics like diagonals and lean lines. And I also say there are some recommended books like the how picture works. I would definitely learn more about photographs after reviewing all the contents. Let's go back to the homepage, and we are back to the homepage again. And as we said before, this is our app called Composition Rules and Examples. It is an app that trying to teach the users how to distinguish the confusing rules about photographs.